Hello everyone, my name is Cora and welcome to my first ever anti-haul. Okay, so for those of you who might not know what an anti-haul is, it's pretty much where you list a bunch of items that you won't be buying, that you tend to feel some kind of pressure from like the corporate consumer society we live in, and you say, I'm not going to buy it because I think it's too wasteful, or I just really don't need it because I already have what I have and I can appreciate that. I'm not sure if I am explaining it in the best way, but pretty much it is like a way to sort of counteract the obsessive haul culture that is a problem like across the fashion YouTube sphere, but is also a huge problem in the kawaii community in general, which is why today I wanted to focus on items that are very prevalent in like kawaii or kawaii adjacent spaces that I see everywhere that I personally would not buy, and I'm going to explain why. If you see anything in these that I list that you would personally buy, please do tell me in the comments below, and also do tell me some things that you would anti-haul. Let's get into it. And the first thing I wanted to list, lucky packs. And I'm going to group them with subscription boxes. So lucky packs are usually it's the new year, everyone's spending their Christmas money on lucky packs and stuff from all these J fashion brands, and then subscription boxes are like, they're not a thing within the kawaii community only, but they do have an increased prevalence, I think. Those YouTube channels that constantly do haul videos and unboxings and stuff, it's like every third or fourth video will be unboxing some kind of subscription box. Popular ones include Pusheen, but yeah, that coupled with lucky packs, which kind of have some of the same problems, is that if you don't know what's going to be in them, then you don't know if you're actually going to use what's in them. And I feel like that's so wasteful, because how much of the stuff do you get in like a lucky pack or a subscription box that you don't end up liking or using, and maybe you throw it out? Or I remember when my sibling used to get the Pusheen boxes, they ended up selling a lot of the stuff. Now they did make some nice extra cash out of that, but the point is that a lot of the stuff that they got in those boxes they didn't end up wanting to keep. I kind of get the appeal a little bit, like, you know, it's almost unwrapping a present that you got for yourself where you don't really know what's inside, and so there is that surprise factor. But after that's over and done with, what are you left with? Are you still just as happy with what you've got? Some of you might say yes, and I think that, like, in terms of some lucky packs, that can be the most affordable way for some people to get brand fashion from, especially if they're new to J fashion. So I can kind of understand that perspective, but for me personally, I wouldn't do it. Sorry, cat wants to come inside. But now we're on to the second item, and this is something that everyone requested, and it was one of the first things I put on my list. It would be Jigby. Anything from Dolls Kill. Now, I don't even know if I can like begin to explain everything that is wrong with Dolls Kill, because it is a lot. And I feel like the further you go down the rabbit hole, the more angry everyone feels, and then the more angry you feel. So it's very complicated, and I think it's very difficult to find sources that describe everything wrong with Dolls Kill in like a fairly civil way and not in a way that almost seems kind of like attacking towards people who support Dolls Kill. So I will be linking my friend's video below. The Stitches, Catherine, did a video talking about some of the big problems with Dolls Kill, but even she wasn't able to cover everything. But pretty much some of the problems are like they've sold items that are cultural appropriation, like indigenous headdresses. Unfortunately, I can't remember which tribe or tribes they're from exactly, but that is something that was being sold as festival wear on Dolls Kill, and if you actually look into the history and the meaning of those headdresses, it's so disrespectful because every single feather on that headdress needs to be earned and it's put together at the end of one's life. And so when you're just making it as a fashion accessory that you can just buy, you're really taking away all of that very significant meaning that goes into the headdress. And, you know, it's taking something that's very slow fashion and turning it into something that's very fast fashion. And then there was like the whole goth is white fiasco where they had like these shirts that said goth is white, and then they had a shirt that said dead girls can't say no, which, like, you know, real creepy rape culture. There have been several complaints from employees who have worked there. There has been a lot of art theft as well, immediately cancelling PR being sent to someone after Dolls Kill found out that they were disabled. And then as Catherine points out in her video, she actually brought up the problems with like the lack of transparency in their supply chain, as well as like the quality actually being really poor. So I've never bought from Dolls Kill, but in the past I always dreamed about someday buying something from them. Now that I've learned all of that stuff, it's like a no from me, and honestly I think we need to do a better job of like talking about these problems and educating people about it, because they are not a company that should continue to be rewarded and profitable acting the way that they do. But also I think we need to take that same energy that we have for disliking Dolls Kill and trying to cancel Dolls Kill and apply it to other brands that do steal designs and do have issues with fast fashion, because I feel like we have other brands that have a free pass way too often. However, that's gonna be another video. On to the third item for today, and this was one of the reasons why I decided to go for something fairly decor-esque for the video. Colourful stickers and band-aids. They're basically single-use plastic, and I know that they're cute, and I know that they have been like a key part of the decor style, but for me personally, I think I don't really need colourful band-aids, and I found a reusable option that works for me, which is why I won't be buying them anymore. You may notice that I have some craft gems on my face, and I actually reuse these all the time. Like if you scroll through my Instagram, you'd see me wearing like the same craft gems on my face over and over and over again, because what I like to do is I like to stick them onto my face with eyelash glue, and then after I'm done I can just peel the eyelash glue off and store these gems away, and I can continue to use them. Another thing you can do is, instead of like using plastic glitter, which is a microplastic, to create your over-the-top decor looks. Sorry, I have a little kitty down here who demanded some attention. Instead of doing that, you can use biodegradable glitter, which is more expensive, but it's also way better for the environment. And I think that is something where you need to be quite careful with your research, because some biodegradable glitter breaks down in like a month and others take 6 months to break down, and so you really want to get glitter that breaks down in as short a time frame as possible, otherwise they're almost as bad as actual plastic. So I'll do my research and hopefully link a good brand or two below. In terms of band-aids, I really don't have a good substitute. I never really used them. I remember back in the day I didn't have band-aids, so I'd use washi tape and I'd like put washi tape over my nose. If you have any alternatives for like band-aids and stuff, how to achieve that bandagey look in a way that is like more sustainable or eco-friendly, please do comment below, because I'd love to know, and I'm sure that there are some other people who would love to know. But in terms of like stickers, I'm okay with my craft gems. I haven't actually experimented with this, but I think it would be interesting to like try putting like those little cabochons on your face, because some people might not necessarily want to use craft gems, and that's okay. But cabochons, hopefully they wouldn't be too heavy, but they could be something that you could potentially reuse. Flower petals and small fake flowers might also be an option. I'm just throwing suggestions out there, but because I've found a reusable version of these colourful stickers that works for me, I'm not gonna buy them anymore because they're single-use plastic. On to the next item. And this is something that I used to own in the past and like to own, but there are some glaring issues, and those are Decoden phone cases. I'm not sure if they're still as in fashion now as they used to be. I know whenever I bought my Decoden phone cases, they were always from a local Brisbane creator who sold at the My Cube. Aside from the fact that, yeah, they're basically a big chunky phone case made out of plastic, like, they look cute. I'll give you that. They look real cute. But number one, they can be harder to fit into pockets and bags and stuff. Like, they make your phone so much bulkier and less practical. And like, number two, they do tend to fall apart, because when it's rustling around in your bag or your pocket all the time, pieces are gonna come off or start to come off. And it is possible to like reuse those pieces in, say, a new Decoden project, or maybe even try sticking them to your face with eyelash glue, depending on how small they are. Having owned like one or two in the past, now I'm just like, never again. I was actually scrolling through various hashtags on Instagram looking for ideas, and one that kind of jogged my memory was shiny vinyl clothing. I love iridescent and holographic textures because they honestly go with everything in my wardrobe. I think they work great for shoes, and I think they work well for accessories. Some of you may be opposed to like shiny plastic vinyl because it's plastic, but I am going to continue to use my shiny plastic vinyl shoes until they fall apart. But I'm not a fan of it in clothing because it creases easily, and you know, it's more likely to rub off, and it's just not going to last a long time. I used to have a shiny holographic moto jacket from Forever 21, but I found myself wearing it less and less as it lost its sheen, and I recently sold it at a swap meet to someone who is very happy to have it, even though it's sort of like not as shiny or metallic anymore. If you're buying something that has like plastic vinyl, you really need to think, how long is this going to last? Let's move on to the next item. Eater bags. That missed the point of eater bags. I have seen Forever 21 and Cheap, and who knows if other fast fashion places do this as well, notice the whole eater bag trend and they think, oh, we should do that. And so they'll make an eater bag, but like, you know how there's like this panel right here that like you put all your pins in? These fast fashion retailers create eater bags that don't have that panel, so it's literally just a clear plastic heart-shaped window into the contents of your bag. Like, imagine copying a trend and then completely missing the point of that trend. What is going on? How about I increase my chances of getting robbed today and just, why not include the panel? I shouldn't be encouraging fast fashion to copy trends, but I feel like if I was someone who was advising fast fashion on how to copy trends, I would tell them to include the freaking panel so that you can put all your pins and stuff in there. It's so dumb. Like, I saw it a few years ago in Forever 21, but then like a week or two ago I was in Cheap and I saw them doing the same thing. Moving on to the final item, cheap plastic hair clips. Now, the thing is that I don't think there's really many sustainable alternatives out there for the hair clips that we use in Decora fashion. However, I do think, for me personally, I don't have that many hair clips and I don't need that many hair clips. Most of them I've had from before I started this sustainable ethical fashion journey, so I'm just going to continue using them, and some of them I have found from a local small business or secondhand. I'd say for now I just really don't need any more hair clips. And I think that if you are someone who is just getting into Decora and you're looking to buy some hair clips, sometimes like cheap dollar store is the best thing you can go for, and that's definitely the most accessible to beginners. But all I ask is that you maybe don't go too crazy and buy as many as you can. Like, maybe just buy like 2 or 3 like sets and use those and see how you go. While Decora fashion is a fashion of like visual excess, that doesn't mean you actually need to own excess more than you actually need to pull off the style. Dunzo. Done. Good to go. Next. Except there's nothing next because this video is over. And I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!